Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's webinar, Transforming the Digital Banking Experience, sponsored by ACI Universal Payments and hosted by American Banker. Before we get started, I'd like to mention today's web seminar is being recorded and you're currently in a listen-only mode. Now I'd like to acquaint you with some of the ways you can participate in today's presentation. The On24 room you are in allows you to individually adjust and resize all available panels that appear on your screen. To resize any of the console panes, simply click on the lower right corner of that pane and drag to adjust. You can also move the panes to your preference by clicking anywhere on the top title bar of that panel and dragging to your desired location within the console. We will have a question and answer session at the end of today's presentation. However, you are encouraged to submit your questions at any time throughout the webcast by using the Q&A panel found on the left portion of your screen. Simply type your question into that window and hit the submit button to have your question placed in the queue. We will address as many questions as time allows. During our presentation, we will also ask for your feedback by voting on a few polling questions. Those will appear directly in your slide viewing area. All you need to do is check the radio button that corresponds to your answer directly on that panel, and then be sure to click the submit button in the lower right corner of that panel. If the poll is not displayed on your slide viewing area, this means you are experiencing an internet connectivity issue. Please refresh your browser by hitting Control-R if you're on a Windows machine, or Command-R if you're on a Mac. If you do not see a submit button in the lower right corner of that poll window, please make sure your window is in full screen by clicking the Maximize button that appears in the right upper corner of that window. Finally, if you experience any technical difficulties during today's event, first try refreshing your browser, again using Control-R or Command-R. And if that doesn't work, please enter your question into the Q&A pane stating your technical issue, and we'll be more than happy to help resolve any difficulties you're experiencing. And now we'll pause for just a moment while we begin the recording. And now, without any further delay, let's begin today's webinar, Transforming the Digital Banking Experience, sponsored by ACI Universal Payments and hosted by American Banker. I would like to now introduce your moderator for today, Mike Sisk. Mike, you have the floor.
Thanks very much, Phil, and I would like to welcome the audience once again. We are very grateful you've chosen to share some of your day with us. We know your time is valuable, and we will honor that with what I'm confident is going to be an enlightening 60 minutes or so of discussion. Once again, our topic today is Transforming the Digital Banking Experience. And I am your moderator today. My name is Michael Sisk. I'm a contributing editor at American Banker. And we have an excellent panel today, as you can see. Let me introduce them all to you now. Michael Trainum is Vice President, Information Technology at DuPont Community Credit Union. We also have Tamika Heilich, Marketing Manager at CFE Federal Credit Union, as well as Mark Ranta, Head of Digital Solutions at ACI Worldwide. We also have Tannen Miles, Director of Electronic Banking Delivery at Ent Federal Credit Union. And finally, we have Mike Ferreira, Electronic Marketing Specialist at CFE Federal Credit Union. And we are very, very pleased to have everyone here today with us. And just before we jump into the real meat of the discussion, a couple of quick housekeeping tips I wanted to reiterate that Phil talked about at the top. We do have time at the end for Q&A. Usually we have about 10 minutes. And please, as you think of the questions throughout the hour, you can put those questions into the queue. You do not have to wait until the end. So sort of as they occur to you, please put them in, and we'll make every effort to get to them in the time we've got. If for some reason we do run out of time, which occasionally happens, we will follow up. So if we don't get your question, we will answer afterward. Your voice will be heard, so please ask anything you'd like. We also have a couple of polling questions today, and I always encourage 100% participation if at all possible. We do share the results with everyone here live, and it's kind of a nice level setting to see where everyone else stands on the issue that we've come together to discuss today. So let me first of all share a quote with you. By 2019, 1/3 of IT budgets in U.S. banking will be dedicated to achieving digital transformation, and that's from IDC Financial Insights. And what it does here is it sets us up for our very first polling question, and I'm going to bring that up now. It's a straightforward yes or no question, but it sort of sets the tone here. What I'll do is I'll just kind of read through the question, and kind of while I'm talking, if everyone could check the appropriate box. Has your financial institution budgeted to increase IT spend on digital banking transformation in 2016? So if everyone could either check yes or no for that one, and we'll see where we all sort of stand on this particular question. I'll give everyone just another moment or two, and I think that's probably enough time. So let's go ahead and share results here. So overwhelmingly, yes, look, 83.7% of everyone with us today has budgeted to increase IT spend in 2016, and just about 16.3% have not. So thank you for participating in this poll. I will be back a little bit later to conduct another 2 polls, but in the meantime, I want to turn you over to the very capable hands of Mark. Mark, please, you've got the floor. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, and good morning and afternoon, everyone on the line. So I wanted to take a quick second to give a little bit of background on ACI Worldwide at a company level before we completely dive into today's discussion. I think it's important personally that we note the breadth of our organization to help understand our unique views on the market in this topic, transforming the digital banking experience in particular. So ACI Worldwide is a 40-year-old publicly traded company. We're active in more than 80 countries today. We count 67 of the top 100 banks globally as our clients, including 18 of the top 20. And our software facilitates more than $13 trillion, that's trillion with a T, in payments daily. ACI includes in its heritage the technology spin-off of one of the first internet banks in the world, Security First, which gives us more than 20 years of experience in the digital banking and bill payment area. We support customers on a 24/7 by 365 within our world-class hosting solutions and our global support teams. And our solid balance sheet gives us the opportunity to invest heavily in R&D at approximately 18% per annum. We have more than 300 global retailers that we count as clients today, and additionally more than 3,600 organizations that use our electronic bill payment offering. So as noted, ACI solutions cover a truly broad spectrum of the banking and payments market, which I think helps to give us a unique view on the topic today. So that brings us to the question, what is driving the digital banking and transformations? I think if we were to look at the entire market and boil down every single industry, tweet, LinkedIn article, industry publication, op-eds, and general blogs, we could fit them into more or less 4 macro trend buckets. I'd break these out as consumerization of the user experience, mobile, tablet, and wearables, omni-channel expectations of the consumer, and finally, the millennial generation. So digging into this first trend here, what is meant by the consumerization of the user experience is really taking the best-in-class examples of websites and mobile apps in terms of the design that we each experience every day in our personal lives as consumers. So sites like kayak.com for travel, Uber for taxi delivery services, Target or Best Buy if we're talking shopping, or Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts for those caffeine lovers out there like myself. So each of these digital experiences are designed with a truly modern look and feel. It features a flat design. So if we were to look back about a year ago, Apple changed their iOS to really go to a flat design, lay things out using white space, and changing some of the typography that was used in the past. So if you look back a handful of years ago, the iOS system really featured all of the apps had curved edges and looked to be a little bit more 3D. The new modern look and feel is a really flat web design on each of those. And it utilizes white space to truly enhance everything. We're not trying to shove as much as we can into the space that's provided on the screens. But we're utilizing white space to kind of maximize that client experience. Also, they're designed with as few clicks as possible. And when we're talking about the tablet in particular, we're actually reducing a double click to a single tap. So the user experience and what they're expecting from that channel is truly different than a double click on an application today that you'd have learned on your website using websites in the past. A lot more single clicks and fewer clicks to get through an application from start to finish. And the final piece here is the analytics piece. So if we're to take a step back and look at kayak.com, it's a truly interactive bi-directional experience. as you search for the site for flights and you move around on the filters on the screen, the back end of the screen is constantly updating and dropping off different options that didn't fit your criteria. It's also going on an analytics-driven piece telling you, yes, this is the exact time to buy with a certain % of confidence. Or if you're in the consumer space, if you're shopping at Target, it says individuals like you that were looking at these type of items actually also purchased these items. So it's really analytics-driven and giving the consumer a unique experience to kind of drive towards additional information that would make the individual feel more confident in their decision-making process. So the next trend that we have here, I think parlays perfectly from the last one. It's the omni-channel expectation that we as consumers have. If you think about this in the simplest term, it's an explanation that would be truly anytime, anywhere, any form factor, digital or physical. So best-in-class consumer examples really allow the user to initiate in one channel and execute and complete in another. A not best-in-class example of this would be dealing with a call center where you're constantly answering the same 3 questions over and over again as you get passed from one telephone provider to the other within the floor. So I think we want to be in a position where you pick up exactly where you left off, whether it's within the same channel or if you're transitioning from form factor to form factor. Underlying any of these form factor pieces is really the responsive web design. So when we're talking about the principles of responsive web design, it's allowing us to create one source code that fits any form factor or screen. It really adjusts based on the limitations that the screen has for you, so as either you size up or down the spectrum. I think the biggest thing with responsive web design is we as consumers are not expecting the exact same experience, whether we're on our desktop or our mobile device or tablet. There is an expectation that those will vary. So whether it's if you're on a smaller screen, the expectation is you're not going to have everything that was on that main website that you see on your 32-inch desktop screen. You're expecting a consolidated amount of that information that you can handle within the screen. Now, what you are expecting is a consistent workflow and look feel as you move through the application. So there is an expected experience that's driven by the channel, but it's not necessarily the same experience that we'd expect in each channel. So our third trend is mobile, tablet, and wearables. I think they're all in very varying different stages of adoption and growth. U.S. users are now spending a majority of their time consuming digital media within mobile applications. This stat over on the left-hand side of the screen is actually from comscore.com, where 60% of digital content access is actually from mobile devices. That means mobile apps, including the #1 most popular app, which is Facebook, eat up more of our time than desktop usage or mobile web surfing, accounting for 52% of the time spent on digital media. The convergence of tablet and PCs really makes for an interesting need in terms of websites themselves. Coupled with the prior statement that more and more traffic is featuring touch interactions, we leave the user on a site that there's an expected user experience of single tap, not double click. I think the Surface tablet and the iPad will continue their assaults on truly becoming the de facto replacement for laptops, or really just blurring the line on what is a tablet and what is a laptop. And this final piece of the trend, in terms of wearables, the initial rollout of the Apple Watch is now a year in the rear view, and I'm sure as most of you look around the rooms that you're sitting in, these smart devices are popping up more and more, especially as we're getting into holiday shopping. I do think we're going to continue to see more and more wearable devices make their way to the market. But I still think we're at that initial starting point and the ability to explore what the new propositions are that exist out there. So I think 2016 is going to be a year that we as an industry need to keep a very close eye on what's happening in the wearable space. Now, my final trend that I think is important, and it's the largest one in the room, is the millennial generation. I'm not just saying that because I'm a proud card-carrying millennial, but we truly have become the largest generation on Earth, and one that's coming into our own in terms of spending power, as well as just starting into our financial life cycle age. So by 2025, 3/4 of the workforce is going to be made up by millennials. Now, what makes that interesting and different from all prior generations is we're the first generation with digital natives. The tailing end of our generation were likely born with a computer in their house, and one that may have even been connected to AOL or broadband. So the oldest of us had cell phones in high school, and the youngest of us had iPhones in middle school. That's middle school. So the expectations and understanding of hows and whys is literally from a digital-first perspective. Couple that with the discussion on the post-recession job market, which coincided with the majority of us coming out of high school and college, and an entrepreneurial spirit is really born amongst us. So understanding and servicing those needs and factoring them in with the college debt discussions really is going to be at what's the center of capturing the market that exists out in front of us. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Mike.
Thanks very much, Mark. And yes, that brings us to our next polling question, and another yes or no. But let me just, same drill as before. I'll read out the question, and if everyone could take a moment or two and make your selection, we would be grateful. Has your financial institution embraced the digitization of banking? So, like I said, a yes or no question, and give everyone another moment or two to answer, and then we will be off to the races with the rest of the program. Okay, that's probably enough time. Pretty straightforward question. So also very overwhelmingly lopsided answer to this one. 84.3% said yes, the financial institution has embraced the digitization of banking. That's probably a fairly anticipated result of that poll. But let me now turn things over to Tannen. Tannen, please, take it away. You have the floor.
Thanks, Mike. Happy to lead out here from our panel participants at various financial institutions. I'm with Ent Federal Credit Union. We're based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. And just a few stats here. We've been on the ACI Architect platform since 2009. And just some stats there on the far right of our membership. I'm particularly excited by the continued growth in our mobile channel. It's been around for several years now, but as we try to mobile optimize our digital banking channels to see more and more of our membership, that 64% is year-over-year growth of individuals who are able to completely leave their desktop behind and simply interact with us through their mobile device is really, I think, telling of some of the slides that Mark was just talking about a few minutes ago. So when it comes to Ent's online banking strategy, just a few points here of that strategy. Responsive design has been well discussed by Mark, particularly for smaller financial institutions. We decided several years ago that the need to maintain our digital channels efficiently and economically was going to necessitate a responsive design. So several years ago, we got our Android and our iOS apps combined into a single responsive app that also rolled up to the tablet form factor. And this year, in the coming months, we will be rolling that responsive design to our desktop as well and just have that single code base. And while the experience is not identical from phone to desktop, at least our members don't have to relearn our site as they come to interact with us through various channels. And certainly it does meet them where they are and allows us to be economical and efficient in our development. So the one-tap, one-click economy that I have here, not exactly the same thing as a one-tap or a one-click instead of a double-click, but just figuring that we're not currently satisfied with our navigation hierarchy as it exists in online banking. We know we can do a lot to streamline that, and as we analyze what our members are doing within online banking and seek ways to optimize that through analytics, I think we can put the majority of information at our members' fingertips that they can get to it with one click or less, and that's similar here with the seamless point there. We don't want to force our members to switch channels. If they choose to switch channels on us, that's fine, and we want that to be seamless, but we want to meet our members where they are. And so for most people, particularly for the millennial member that we want to court, this means mobile optimization. But more and more we're finding that is not just the millennial generation. It really is everyone as we become a more mobile society. So about second line here, 3 short use cases that I want to share with you: our online account opening, our mobile optimized loan application, and quick balance and quick transaction history that Ent has recently rolled out. So if I just talk through these one at a time. Our online account opening, I remember after several months of development, we ultimately went with a silent rollout for online account opening. We just added a button to our home screen on ent.com. And I remember going into my boss's office and telling him, after several months we were very excited to make this live at 10 o'clock on a Thursday. And I said, you got to be prepared for the fact that nobody might notice that button for several days. We may be a little while before we start seeing use of this. And I think it took about 35 minutes for our first account to be opened. It was as if people had been sitting there refreshing the screen, just waiting for the opportunity. And it really took off just right away. We almost from the get-go, we were opening 200 to 250 accounts per month, which for Ent, that is 7 to 10% of our new account volume each month. And as you can see on the slide, these are good accounts. These are individuals that are opening a checking account. They've got a debit card. They're using their debit card more often than the run-of-the-mill member that opened the account at a physical location. They're applying for loans and being approved for loans. So we've been really happy with the accounts, and also equally happy with the fact that these are skewing younger as we kind of hoped. The average age of our online accounts is 35 years old, and that's a good 7 to 8 years younger than the new accounts that we are opening through our physical channels. Secondarily, 55% of our online accounts are being opened on a mobile device. So that's fantastic, and we built it responsive, and we did mobile optimize it, so we're happy to see that they're utilizing it. And it actually helped to answer kind of a chicken and egg question that we had for the second feature here that I was going to discuss, which was our mobilely optimized loan application. We've been having a conversation for quite some time that we had virtually no online loan applications coming to us from a mobile device. And so one half of the argument says then we don't need a mobile loan app because nobody's coming at us from a mobile loan app. But the obvious other side of the coin is we have no mobile loan volume because we don't have a mobile optimized application. So we took our existing loan application, redid the design, made that mobile optimized. And I show here, the red line just showing our loan volume last year, just to kind of show that it's been pretty flat, consistent, and a slight year-over-year growth, but certainly here in the last few months since we rolled out the mobile optimized app, it's taken a definite jump. Our web applications historically have been about 25% of our total loan application volume, and since rolling out the mobile optimized version of our loan app, that's pushed up over 30%. And obviously then, it's not that the mobile app is cannibalizing the desktop application. It's taking applications that otherwise would have called in and or walked into a service center, but it's making available for someone who is doing research on their phone, which is more and more the trend, to go ahead and again complete. Don't force them to switch channels. Don't force them to move to a new form factor. And again, just looking at the age distribution here then of individuals that are using that responsive loan application, it's skewing much younger, the average age 32 years old. So particularly popular among 24-year-olds for whatever odd reason there is. We see a spike there for the 24-year-olds. The last thing I wanted to talk about was our quick balance and quick transaction history. We know that 85% of our site traffic in online banking is individuals coming in to look at their balances and or to look at their transaction history. And so we developed quick balances that allows the individual ahead of their login to see their balance and also the last 5 transactions on their account. due to the visibility of this on the landing page, it had high enrollment just right from the get-go. We rolled this out just recently in July. Average use on this for enrolled members is 12 times per month, and that number just keeps climbing. We've heard anecdotally from people when they first signed up, they forgot that it was there, a little button in the upper right-hand corner of our app landing page that they tap to see their balances. And so as they're remembering that it's there and getting more and more use, it's proving to be very valuable. We're hearing a lot of positive comments from our members about it. Again, this product skews young, although, the average age is 37, but as you see on this chart, we actually had a 96-year-old member that did use Quick Balance. It was not a business account. We've taken the business accounts out of this chart. And we did have a 5-year-old member, or at least their parents, that logged in to check a Quick Balance on an account. But as you see, the bulk of the usage here is very popular with our 20-somethings, which is exactly what we hope to accomplish as we continue to try to have a mobile-optimized banking experience. And that is the features that I was going to share today. I'm going to turn it over to Michael Trainum with DuPont Community Credit Union.
Thank you very much, Tannen. My name is Michael Trenum with DuPont Community Credit Union. Good morning or afternoon to everyone. While our story at DCCU is unique in our area, it is certainly not unique across the credit union space. We were founded to serve a SEG for Waynesboro DuPont employees in 1959, and we received our community charter in 1997. We're currently serving 72,000 members in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. If you could sum up our entire digital banking strategy in one statement, it's that our primary focus is on creating the best possible member experience for every single channel. And that can certainly be challenging at times. We use responsive design across our primary website and in certain sections of online banking, but we found that responsive design for us is just one tool in our kit. Integrating features and functions has sometimes required us to take a different placement in online banking versus mobile to create the best user experience. We use user stories to stage how and where we integrate functions, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a project that we had this year, which was to increase our credit and debit utilization. That was really the overall project goal. But what we did, I think, was more than that. We already had great checking products that had numerous features, but they were not always utilized or understood by members. Sometimes when you have complex products, they're explained in initial account opening, but are then forgotten about the members. And without constant education, they just come into the back, just basically go to the back burner, the back of a member's mind, and that feature becomes, if it's unknown, isn't of any value to anyone. So we wanted to spread awareness, and at the same time, we wanted to increase our debit and credit utilization. So our overall solution, the three elements that we wanted to have was we wanted to effectively communicate checking account benefits and tangible value to the membership, give members access to real-time data to make purchasing decisions, and to do that in a graphical view of data that encourages product usage. We believe that members typically want online banking to be a tool for their finances first, but it's so easy for us and other FIs to view online banking or mobile as a sales driver or marketing wall. And while we believe the channel can be both, we found that members respond to drivers that fit their model over ours. If you ask the question to a member, where should I go to shop for financial services, it's likely that they're going to answer their financial institution's website. It's pretty unlikely we think that they're ever going to say inside of online banking. By using dashboards, the graphical view that I'll show here in a moment, as a quasi-marketing tool and a benefit to the member, we found that we can drive member behavior without plastering ads all over our account summary page. So what we ended up doing was we had two dashboards for each of our two checking products. We have one checking product that focuses on rewards points that members can redeem for a variety of merchandise. And then we also have a high-interest checking account, our rewards account called Rewards, our high-interest bearing account called Grow. And in these dashboards, what you can see is different levels that members can achieve to increase their rewards. So we have on our top our rewards dashboard for activity for this month and last month for their overall spend. You can also see on the dashboards fees that have been refunded from an NSF or from foreign ATMs. We also have a link out to our CU Rewards site. It is a single sign-on that passes member information directly over to the CU Rewards site itself. On the bottom, we have our Grow dashboard, and that is a little bit more of a complex product because it has not only spend tiers, but it also has swipe count tiers. So the feedback that we had from our members is that they're going into their checking register every single month to count their swipes, to see where they are, to see what tier they're reaching. So creating this dashboard gave us a chance to do that for the member, to give them access to real-time information. And our user story when we created this dashboard was a member at home who can look and see exactly where they are on their way to reaching the next reward tier, and can also see a tangible value of our products. They can see the money that's been refunded. They can see what they have saved. And the way that we presented these inside of online banking was they actually moved our account summary modules down. So the very first thing that the member sees is those rewards dashboards. And that's always a risk when you change the landing page inside of online banking because you're changing what the member sees and what they're accustomed to. We felt that showing the graphical presentation was what our members would want to see even over their account summary and their balances. Now in mobile, this created a little bit of a challenge for us because we wanted mobile to actually drive purchasing decisions, to be able to drive top of wallet. The user story that we had for our mobile presentation was a member at a store checkout checking their balance and determining what card to use. So we found that our version of Quick Balances, which we call Quick View, is an ability that, or a feature that our members can enroll in that without a password they can simply click one button on the login screen of mobile, and that drop down will display both their account balance and then also a miniaturized view of the dashboard itself. And in this particular case, responsive design could have handled this once you logged into the mobile app, but with different varying degrees of speed for cellular connections and having that user story at the checkout, we wanted to make sure that this populated as fast as possible. And our target time was to have this information present within 4 seconds of the member opening up the app. And each of these dashboards do have an element of animation that we simply can't capture in these slides. Those actual bars in the mobile dashboards will fill as then turn from red to yellow to green, or excuse me, from red to yellow to green as they move towards their tiers. We also have had email campaigns and other low-cost marketing utilized to drive awareness, and all of this development was done in-house. So now it brings us to how we did, and you can see this graph here. The yellow line indicates our transactional counts for our rewards checking product, and our green represents it for our Grow checking product. As you can see, it's pretty steady overall going back through 2014 until our dashboards were launched in March of 2015. Now, the majority of our awareness campaign actually kicked off in April, so you can see the huge lift that we got just when the dashboards were launched in March. In fact, if you take a look at our Christmas spend for December of 2014, as soon as we launched our dashboards, our transactional counts went above what our members were swiping through the Christmas holidays and other holidays right off the bat and have remained above those levels. So we've had new checking account openings that have of course still occurred, but because most of our marketing has been geared towards our existing members, we haven't seen a significant lift. We average about 600 to 700 new checking accounts per month. And one of the really exciting things that we've seen that has not been, that is not shown in this graph, is that our inactivity on our rewards product prior to our dashboard's launch, averaged 42% of our entire portfolio, and that's from June 2014 to February 2015. Our inactivity from March to September of 2015 has dropped down to 37%. And with that, I will hand it over to Tamika at CFE.
Thank you so much. As mentioned earlier, I'm Tamika Heilig, the Marketing Manager at CFE Federal Credit Union. We were founded in 1937 by a group of educators. On this slide, I mentioned our average member age of 41, which is fairly low for the credit union world. Our goal a few years back was to decrease our average member age, and so we understood that that goal fed directly into our digital strategy. We also understood that millennials are tech savvy, they use digital channels very heavily, and we also know that if we want to remain competitive in the market, that we needed to move towards a more digital strategy overall. And the next slide here, I list some of our current digital channels and some of our future enhancements. We currently have a website, online and mobile banking, which ACI assists us with, apps, of course, to go along with that. Email marketing, we utilize digital billboards and brand signage, and of course social media very heavily. As in regards to our future enhancements, we are looking at doing a website overhaul in 2016. Our current website is very content heavy. It takes a lot of clicks to get through, so we understand that we need to fix that fairly quickly. So some of the things that Mark spoke about earlier in regards to responsive site, increasing our SEO and our online presence, as well as the online and mobile banking, creating the more omni-channel approach is the route we're looking to take in regards to our future enhancements. Here today I also have Mike, who's going to talk a little bit about a campaign that we launched a few weeks back.
Hello everyone, Mike Ferrer here from CFE. Like Tamika mentioned, I wanted to talk about a promotion that we just wrapped up about a week or two ago. It was the last week of this October, and it was our dynamic digital billboard campaign. We set ourselves some goals. The first thing we wanted to do was show our support for the University of Central Florida Knights. The University of Central Florida is someone that we entered a very big public partnership with recently, and we are the official financial institution of the UCF Knights. So we wanted to show our support for them. We wanted to obtain some user-generated content. We wanted to engage with our social community in a way that we haven't before. And of course, we wanted to create some buzz around Central Florida. We did this by only having a completely digital campaign where we advertised our dynamic billboard campaign on our social media channels and our digital billboards. We did not print a single print piece for this campaign. What we did is we brainstormed a hashtag. The hashtag that we ended up coming with was hashtag UCFFan. And then we set up alerts to track the hashtag using various social media tracking software. We asked our fans and followers to post their fan photos. And then we also partnered with UCF groups that were high-profile UCF organizations, like you could see in the screenshot from Twitter. We asked for some retweets from the UCF football team, the UCF College of Business, the UCF newspaper, and that got a lot of eyes on it because they're high-profile organizations and they had lots of followers from the UCF community. And then we shared the fan photos that were submitted on our billboards. We sorted through them. We chose the best. We made sure that they aligned with our brand and there wasn't anything inappropriate happening. We clicked approved, and within 5 minutes, the submitted photos ended up on our digital billboard. Okay, so let's talk about the outcome. Well, this was a new way to interact with our members digitally. We had not had them submit photos through our social channels before. And we also had some brand recognition for the fans of the college, the students, the faculty, alumni. Because it was homecoming week, there were thousands of people in Central Florida. And not to mention the car drivers on the highway seeing the digital billboards. We were also able to include members in our marketing strategy, member photos, that is. This was very new for us. We're consciously eliminating stock photos, and we feel that this campaign made room for future photo campaigns. The last thing that we found successful is we had a big increase in fan engagement throughout the homecoming week. As you could see in the screenshot, every time we had a webcam screenshot, we went back and tagged the person who submitted the photo originally. The highest level of engagement came from these fans who made it on the billboards. We shared them the webcam screenshot, and of course they shared it on and on with their friends and family. And that's all I want to talk about, and now I'm going to hand it back over to Mike for our final poll question.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And that does bring us to our third and final poll of the afternoon here. And after we do this poll, we'll move on to the panel discussion and some Q&A. So we still have some good content ahead of us. What is your top digital transformation priority in 2016? And I will go ahead and read these different possibilities, but please just check along as you see fit. Mobile, tablet, and wearables, responsive design, UI or UX enhancements, expanding new payment types, analytics integration, or all of the above. So once again, the question is, what is your top digital transformation priority in 2016? And wait another moment or two and give everyone a chance to make that selection. And I think we probably have given everyone enough time, so let me go ahead and share the results with everyone here today. And interesting, all of the above, 25.9% said that. That was the leading answer. And for those that just picked one, responsive design, 20%, and then UI UX enhancements, 17.6%. So thank you very much for participating in that. And I will now, let's go ahead and we'll have the panel discussion. I've got a couple questions here that I want to pose to our panelists, and we'll do that for a couple minutes, and then if we've got some time for Q&A, we'll do that then. So everyone, let me ask the first question, which is, what do you view as the biggest challenge financial institutions face in the continued digitization of banking? And let me put Mark Ranta on the spot here. What do you think about that?
So outside of the obvious in terms of the spend required to keep pace with the market, because I think we're at the true beginning stages of this evolution. I think it's only going to speed up as we keep moving on. As noted, we're kind of at the beginning of the Internet of Things and wearables. So putting that one aside, I think it's the personalization of the user experience. If we can unlock that piece and really figure out how to deliver a customized experience to each individual, and I think that's the nut that we need to crack. I think the virtual experience hasn't been able to been tailored and individualized the same as the physical experience that we've had traditionally in bank branches, and that discussion kind of gets into the cross-sell discussion. So that would be the biggest challenge for me.
This is Tannen. I could just join in on that. I think that's a great point. It's a great opportunity. The biggest challenge, I think, probably stems from, our biggest threat, which is the opportunity for disintermediation from third-party disruptors and startups that are unbundling the financial relationship that we have with our account holders into individual components and specializing in those components. So trying to make a personalized experience. I think that the last poll question that we just asked is somewhat telling, because we're asking, what is your top priority? And when the answer comes back, all of the above, well, I mean, it speaks volumes. We've got so much to do, but limited resources. Unless you're a mega bank, your opportunity to do all of the above in the next year is probably not realistic. So finding a way to not chase after things that ultimately will prove non-valuable to your account holders. I think researching new functionality, but then I think we need to get very good and very efficient at communicating with our account holders and finding out what they value and what they don't value. And one final thing I just would add on there then, particularly for small and mid-sized banks, hiring new and unfamiliar skill sets to meet the personalization that Mark talked about, to meet UI, UX, design, skills that are not likely to be homegrown in your bank or credit union. That's going to be a challenge, but it's very important.
Tannen, this is Mike with DuPont Community. I'll certainly echo what you said. We are here very concerned about the fragmentation of product types that are occurring. The easy example is Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay. Which one do you support? Do you support all of them? But that support is going to be an ever-growing challenge regardless of the product type. So making sure that you're hiring staff and have a good training program for staff, that is really our number one priority, because we realize that with this fragmentation that we see in the industry, we're going to get to a point where our biggest problem is going to be prioritization, either trying to read the tea leaves on what will be popular versus a strategy to adopt all and just try to support. And either way, filling those staffing needs, getting that talent in the door, it will at least mitigate some of the problems surrounding trying to support all of those different products, everything that's coming at us.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael and Mark and Tannen for those answers. Let me pose another question for the panel. What can financial institutions take from the retail playbook in adapting to the consumerization experience?
I can take that one.
Great.
Yeah, I think in general, something we can take from the retail playbook would be just to think more like the retailers, to really focus on the navigation, the efficiencies, and really adopt, more of the Amazon model to make a really full and fulfilling experience. I know at CFE we really focus on service that translates beyond the teller line and beyond the face-to-face, and it has to translate into the digital strategy as well.
This is Tannen again. I just got back from Money 2020, and something that stands out as you talk to retailers is just the hypersensitivity that they have to anything that holds up their customer's journey or causes someone to drop out, particularly from a digital channel. So just identifying and addressing those pain points and having that same kind of hypersensitivity. Retailers are very interested in loyalty programs, finding ways to maybe even gamify something like what DuPont did for their debit utilization campaign. I think of favorite apps that we have out there that can drive a crazy amount of loyalty just by collecting badges or awards that you want to collect. And not that I think people think of their financial institution as a fun place to come, but as we try to drive more and more loyalty and more leveraging of that relationship, I think that there's maybe something to be learned there and growth opportunities there, and also customization. I think of Starbucks and how many opportunities you have to customize your drink at Starbucks, and people will pay more and stand in line for a cup of coffee because primarily they have the opportunity to customize that thing. And I went to a design thinking workshop many months ago, and he had shared something along those lines, that when individuals have the opportunity to customize something, they become, his quote was, stupidly loyal to that brand. And I think that, again, we talk about one-tap economy and customizing user experience. I think we can draw that from consumerization as well.
Yeah, and Tannen, this is Mark. Using the Starbucks example is great because you have that ability to customize, but also you can customize it whether you're in line in front of the barista, or you can do it from your phone and just pick it up, and you've already paid. The experiences, you're seamless whether you're in person or in the virtual space, and that engagement in terms of the gamification and not making it the place that you want to come and spend time in, but making it fun while you're there. In terms of really just getting that person to engage, they're engaging with the brand, they're staying on the app longer, which is what we're looking for. So the only other thing I'd add is just what Tannen and Michael hit a second ago, but it's really getting in the habit of looking outside of that normal space that we're all comfortable in and hiring from within, and really engaging in other industries to bring in that best-in-class thought leadership in terms of how to drive the things like engagement and the things like seamless cross-channel integration points. So just kind of looking outside of our industry at large and looking at the best in class in what they do is really going to be key as we move forward here.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mark. And Tamika and Tannen for those answers to that one. And let's see here. I've got two more panel questions I'd like to toss out there for everyone. The next one is, what changes have you had to make in your organizational structure to embrace digital banking transformation? And wondering if Michael would be interested in weighing in on that. Michael Tranum.
Absolutely. It's a good question for us because honestly, I feel like every year we make significant organizational structure changes. Probably the most important thing that we have done for our strategy was 3 years ago we made the conscious decision to move development in-house and to create a development area. And what that has allowed us to do is move away from being reliant on vendor solutions, either more expensive custom programming, or to work, just literally wait for a vendor to create an enhancement that would be good for everyone, that everyone agrees on, but it's the roadmap says it's going to be 9 months or a year to get it out there. What we've found is that we've created an excellent balance with development in-house and then partnering with our vendors to create different solutions. And we have far more customization than honestly we ever would have hoped to achieve 3 years ago with a different model. We also publish a roadmap internally, as when you do start developing in-house, there's so many different enhancements and things that you can do, improving your internal products as well as online banking. And having that published roadmap just makes it easier to communicate to staff what is coming next. And our staff development programs have really been integral into communicating all of these changes. Just this year, we've internally released 93 separate enhancements or standalone pieces of software. Our biggest challenge has not been developing the solutions, but they've been communicating them and making sure that they're utilized correctly.
From CFC's standpoint, just weighing in on that question too, we made some significant changes to our structure as well. We developed a position, which Mike, who I have here with me, has that position dedicated to everything e-services, from website to social. He takes care of all of that, and we understood that was very important. In addition, we have an electronic services department from the operational side, which handles the online account opening experience, loans, and so forth, and helping our members in that regard.
Excellent. Thank you, Tamika. And let's see here. Last question for the panel, and then we'll have, I think, just a couple minutes for Q&A. How do mobile wearables/wallets fit within your digital strategy? Has the demand for these solutions really increased, or will it simply be a natural extension of the digital experience?
Yeah, I think that mobile wearables particularly are worth watching here. We did not chase after Google Glass and create a Google Glass app, but watches seem to be gathering some steam. Certainly some exciting statistics out there about it, which have to be taken with a grain of salt, because statistics are certainly very malleable to tell whatever story you want to tell. But ultimately, from our perspective, building an application for a watch is just a streamlined version of the same mobile-optimized design methodology. And if you think about our quick balance and quick transaction history, that's exactly what you'd want to be serving up on a watch, a quick transfer, maybe something that we've seen in some P2P solutions out there. Just that one-tap economy again. We're talking to our members about digital wallets, trying to stay aware of trends, and make sure we position ourselves to move as the time is right.
And for DCCU, we believe that the wearables will be adopted, hopefully en masse, but we believe that they'll be adopted as a notification type channel. and we do plan to code to that channel when adoption warrants. We have a feedback collection process, which we call the voice of the member, that we've been actively watching for comments related to wearables, but we have not seen any type of noticeable demand. We are also in a rural area, which means that we get to cheat a little bit. We get really a buffer from product adoption and allows us to watch trends before our members in our area typically start to ask for them.
In regards to CFE Federal Credit Union, we look at it more of a natural extension. We had to be very careful how we focused, even when we rolled out Apple Pay. What we found was blasting that into our entire membership. We got some backlash from our Android users who were, making snarky comments and who cares and what about us. So we look for it to be more of a natural extension and more of something we roll out as members are asking for it or as we see the need for it.
So to be one last comment is the Samsung purchase a handful of years ago finally made a foray into NFC payments was the guy sitting in line. We've had that for 3 years with Google Pay. The Android defense in terms of the market, it's longer than the Apple coexist. I think from the mobile side and the wallet side, Apple Pay just turned 1 this year, so the age of adoption. So with Chase Pay and MTX making announcements, the momentum at the tipping point in terms of wallets really getting to mainstream. And mobile wallet centered 6 years ago, the first Starbucks card.
I'm going to break in here. I'm sorry. You know what, Mark, we're having a little trouble with your line. We can't really hear you very well. So I want to. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we can't quite make out what you're saying. But we're just at the top of the hour, but let me just throw out one quick question. There's a lot of great questions in the queue here. And like I said, actually the panelists have been doing a great job of answering some of the questions just as we go along here individually. But and there's some other questions that we will follow up with afterwards. But let me just ask one question here for the panel. Have you had any know your customer or anti-money laundering concerns from the population of accounts opened via the mobile channel?
I'll take that one since I did the online account opening. From Know Your Customer perspective, we use Experience Precise ID tool with knowledge-based questions to authenticate members. If a potential account holder fails that process, then they are unable to actually complete the process solely through the digital channel, which is certainly we want them to be able to complete and fund and do everything. We don't want them to have to call in or come in, but if we're not able to authenticate them with the Precise ID tool, then they need to call and get a signature card that can be notarized, or they need to stop into a physical location. But the vast majority of the time that is not happening. We look at transaction anomaly and device authentication and some other items on the back end from a money laundering perspective, and just trying to watch for fraudulent, be very mindful of fraudulent accounts that may have been opened.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And I've got 1 minute past the hour. We definitely like trying to bring these things in on schedule or close to schedule, respecting everyone's very busy days. So let me just first of all thank the panel for being here. It's been a great content-filled discussion. We've had some wonderful information in the discussion themselves, of course, but then also some great questions. So obviously something that really kind of resonated with everyone here. Thank you also for the audience for being here, for asking questions and participating in the polls. We would not want to do it without you, so thank you for being here. And please keep an eye out in your inbox over the next day or two. We'll be sending you an email, follow-up email, with a link to the recording of this conversation and also to the slides themselves, PDF of the slides. So then you can review at your leisure in the future, and we certainly encourage you to do that. And with that, I will wrap things up. Wish everyone a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope you'll join us again here very soon. Thanks so much.